Let's go to Greg. He's in New York, and you can bring up anything you want. Hey, Greg.
Hey guys, I like when you disagree with each other. It's refreshing. I actually had an interesting topic I wanted to call in about. A few days ago, I started noticing that these Coke cans. Have you guys noticed this? Coke cans with people's names on them.
Yeah, what's that about?
Yeah, I was wondering, and I posted that on Facebook. There was a kid looking for a Coke can for like half an hour because he couldn't find his name.
Mm-hmm.
So, I posted on Facebook, what's up with this? And then a friend of mine commented that, hey, I saw already like 5 posts on Facebook about this. It's a great marketing campaign because people are posting on Facebook. So I looked it up, and it's an interesting story. Apparently, soda companies are suffering lack of demand because every year Americans are becoming more health conscious and drinking less soda.
Really?
And so, yeah, it's an interesting trend in the last 10 years, actually, that I was, I'm pretty happy about that.
I drink less soda than I did 10 years ago.
There you go. In fact, I think if Americans are making healthier choices voluntarily, that is a great thing versus, let's say, the soda ban in New York City on the size of the containers.
So wait, just to clarify, so these soda cans are aluminum cans with names printed on them by the canning company?
Yes. So they have cans that say Ian, Derek.
Sorry, I meant bottles, but yes.
But they have
say
bottles
like
and cans.
Share a Coke with Ian, and
so they're trying to personalize the drinking experience.
I haven't found one that says Big Daddy Rhinosh once yet.
Well, wait, are
that's
people
the idea,
custom ordering these things?
No, they're in the stores and they see like, oh, hey, my name's on that, and then they'll buy the soda because it's like, oh,
it's like the
with
keychains.
Bobby. Yeah.
Yeah, but here's where it gets not really creepy, but just interesting of how American capitalism works. The names that they're putting on it are a result of the soda company saying, hey, we are getting lower and lower demand for sodas. So we're going to try to reform our image. We're going to make slightly smaller containers, and we're going to put popular teenagers' names on these Cokes. Mm-hmm. This is what they're doing in order to entice, and maybe later they'll run some more campaigns aimed at teenagers, in order to entice kids and teenagers to start drinking Coke again.
So what you're saying is I can't go and buy a Mildred Coca-Cola or an Esther?
But you're very likely to be able to get a Phoebe.
No.
Phoebe?
Like a Justin.
Well,
you'll get Justin.
Brittany? How about that?
Chloe? Come on. I mean, these names are hip.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
So, Greg,
so
what are you just saying that this is a cynical move by the companies? I mean, where are you coming from on this?
I think it actually brought me to a very another funny libertarian conundrum, which is like, okay, if you're voluntarist, or if am I pronouncing that right, voluntarist?
There's two different ways to pronounce it. There's voluntarist, which is spelled differently, and then voluntarist, which is spelled the way you're pronouncing it. So yes, you're fine.
Cool. So if you basically are in favor of a free market where people rationally make choices, but at the same time admit that at certain ages, people are not yet ready to really think in health-conscious ways or rational ways necessarily, what you would call rational, but rather are more impulse-driven, like kids or tweens or teenagers. And if a company is marketing unhealthy products to specifically going after that demographic, would you be in favor of laws restricting companies from doing that in your city, say, or would you just wait until the damage is done to then sue them later?
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that coming up here in a moment. If you can hang on,
Greg. It's
a
great question.
We'll bring you back in just a moment. Protecting the children from them darn junk foods. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. That's 855.
I love questions like this. I love callers that bring up sort of interesting things to get you thinking.
It's a good intellectual question. We'll come back with more of Greg and your calls and thoughts. And Derek J's already fired up on this one. 855-450-FREE. You take control here on Free Talk Live. More on the way. We had Greg on the line in New York. He dropped off during the break. I hope we can get him back to continue the conversation we were having about soda pop and sort of what he was describing as American capitalism. We actually do have Greg back here, thank goodness, calling from New York. And Greg, you had brought in this issue of Coca-Cola apparently is putting names on people's soda cans. You're saying that soda drinking is down, that they're trying to reel people back into this by putting names, apparently of teenagers, popular teenage names, on Coke cans. And your question was something about, and again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so please rephrase it, but question was something about in an ideal libertarian place, would there be some support, at least among the hosts of the show, and maybe our listeners as well, if you're going to open it up to anybody's response here, would there be some sort of support for laws ostensibly protecting young people and teenagers? Was that essentially what you were asking?
Yeah, protecting them from making choices that an adult would probably not make. And just to make it stronger, let's say it's not Coke, but drugs that might harm the child, get them addicted, and basically are marketed specifically to get the children and teenagers addicted.
Well, there's a case that I think that's probably worth mentioning here is the Camel cigarette Joe Camel ads. Now, I know you said you moved from another place here to the United States, and you may not be aware of this, but there were some in the 80s. There were cartoons, literally little comic strips you could get in a package of Camel cigarettes, and I thought they were interesting when I was young. I collected these comics.
Who were the characters, like Joe Camel?
Joe Camel and some stuff. I don't really remember any of them. I just remember collecting them. But friends smoked, and I got their comic strips. I had no desire to smoke that I know of based on this, but I liked the comics, and I suspect that there were probably some people. This brought the attention of cigarettes to young people, right? And so they were doing their jobs. And so that's kind of the question is let's lay it out there. Forget drugs. Tobacco itself is the biggest killer, sort of consensual killer on the planet. Why not that one? And so I would say no. I don't think there should be any laws over this. Parents have been doing a reasonably good job of keeping doing a good job, mostly through peer pressure, and societal pressure, keeping cigarettes and now sodas. You said that the drinking of sodas is going down. So we're getting the results we want. Why have laws to get more of the results that you want?
Yeah, I'm on board with that, Mark. In fact, I don't remember who I was listening to. I don't know if it was today or last night. Maybe it was even the Freedom Fiends. I'm not sure. I've been listening to a lot of LRN.FM recently, and it's all kind of been blending together. But there was some sort of discussion about the idea that, was it Scotland or something where there's no drinking age or very low drinking age?
Ireland has no drinking age.
In theory, walk up to the bar, and as long as you can stand at the bar, you could be served. But one of the things that was being said, this was Freedom Fiends. You were talking with your co-host Randy last night.
That's right.
Can you recap that? Because you'll do a better job than I will.
Well, he was basically saying that in the town where he grew up,
was it Ireland where?
I am not certain where he grew up, but he was saying that it would have been impossible for him as a young person to walk up to the bartender and say, "I'll have a Guinness,"
as a 5-year-old or 10-year-old or something.
As a kid, because it was a different kind of society where people looked out for their community, and they would it was different. It was not about laws per se. It was about the type of community that he lived in, where people were saying, I wouldn't want my kid drinking, so I'm not going to serve this kid.
Well, right.
No law was necessary.
Yeah, that was kind of my point, was that if and I don't think that was necessarily a statement about the past. I think that was more of a statement about period. Like a 5-year-old walks into a bar, you're going to have a tough time finding the bartender who's willing to serve that person.
But what we find is when you pass laws on marijuana and that sort of thing, that kids consume more. Teenagers consume more marijuana when it's illegal and consume less when it's legal.
All of a sudden, drinking soda will be really cool.
So here's the question I have for you, Greg. Do you want more kids to drink soda? Go ahead and pass your law.
Unfortunately, you're going to have to ask that question of the universe because Greg dropped off the line. He must have been having some sort of cell phone difficulty there.
This is sort of the difference between the statist mentality and the liberty-oriented mentality. Because, the statist asks, well, should we pass a law?
It presumes the laws will do what you're intending them to do in the first place.
All the good intent has led us to where we are, where there's fires in the streets of Ferguson.
Well, it comes back to the creativity that you were talking about earlier, Derek J. And if you can't think of creative ways to stop people from drinking or smoking cigarettes or whatever, then violence is not an acceptable solution.
Yeah, who says to themselves, boy, I wish kids would drink water instead of soda. Maybe I should punish those people who drink soda. I mean, maybe I should hit them or throw them in a cage.
How about some waterboarding? That'll help.
Well, that's what you're asking when you're asking to introduce a law. You're saying, well, I should involve this huge violent gang in this situation to solve this problem of kids drinking soda.
Oh, but it's okay, Derek J. They won't put the kids in jail. They'll only go after the dealers.
Yeah, that's right. Only the pushers. Well,
because that's how it works with the war on drugs, right?
But then the kids will get the soda.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
it's going to be
and then the kids will sell the soda.
The kids will market it to the kids.
Did you all do that in school? I remember when I was in 6th grade, I think it was, tear jerkers were the hot thing. These are a gum type that has very, very kind of sour coating on the outside. And the Publix, a grocery chain down in Florida, were selling in the deli these large bags of these tear jerkers, and the different colors would go for different prices. And of course, it was totally against the rules of the school to be selling these things. I mean, there would be likely some very upset parents if they found out that their kids were being sold candy while they were at school, which is why in a lot of jurisdictions, just having a vending machine with candy in it can be very, very controversial.
I sold cigarettes in high school.
Hey, really?
Jeez, you were the bad kid. We would do Jolly Ranchers and things like that. There was always some candy that people would want at school, and somebody dealing the candy. I don't know how they
bringing
managed
in
to do
Mountain Dew one year,
but you knew it.
Yeah.
Sodas I don't think were ever done because you're just sort of carrying it around. They're so obvious. I mean, a Jolly Rancher you can slide up underneath your watch band if you need to,
Right. So the point being that if you prohibit something, whether it's something for kids or something for adults,
do you remember
it's going to go
cinnamon toothpicks?
Loved the cinnamon toothpicks. There was a craze about those for like 6 months in middle school for me. Yeah, and then somebody made a batch. I don't know if I made a batch of them once and put too much cinnamon oil on them, so when you put them in your mouth, your lips would turn all red and your face would break out in a rash.
Some people like that.
Yeah, it was kind of dangerous. You had to watch yourself with that cinnamon oil.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.